How's it going, guys? Chris here, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to assemble the Mega Pinsir Pokéball after you're done printing. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so this Pokeball has a lot of pieces, so make sure you have everything nice and organized before you begin, and once you're ready to go, we're going to start by taking the bottom half of the Pokeball. Then we're going to take our new twist lock, we're going to pop it in so that way it lines up like this, and then we're just going to twist it. And now you'll have the opening facing forward. That's going to be for the clicker. Now, if you do not want to use the clicker, there's going to be a version that you can print without the clicker that's going to have this stem fused to the middle core, and it's going to be in black. So you just want to make sure that that stem is facing forward for the non-clicking option, or the opening is facing forward for the clicking option. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our clicker and pay attention to the little pins that are sticking out, and we're going to have to line those up with the pins in the lock, drop it in, so I now have my clicker in place. We're then going to take our black piece right here, so this is going to be Pinsir's mouth, and you're going to put this in first by lining up the bottom and then pushing it in. Once that's in, we're then going to take the center piece, drop it over the middle. We're then going to take the top of our Pokeball, put it in sideways, twist, and lock. Now that's going to be the completion of the first step of assembly here, and then we're going to move on to the next couple pieces. Alright, so the next thing that we can do is we can take some glue, and we can line where the horns are going to go, so the holes in the top, with just a little bit of glue. And then we can take our horns, and we can just push those right into position, and let's hold those and wait for the glue to dry. So once the glue is done drying, it shouldn't take too long, we'll then move on to the next piece. All right, so with the horns in place now, glue's drying, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these wing pieces, the shell of the wing, and we're gonna find the corresponding black inlay, and we're gonna make sure that these line up perfectly. So you're gonna take one and push it into the other. Look at the slits, make sure that there's no weird overlaps to everything, and make sure that it's perfectly lined up. And once you feel you have the right one, what we're gonna do then is take a little bit of glue, and we're just gonna put some like right here, and some right here, just so that way these two pieces stick together. So I now have one assembled, and I'm gonna do the same thing to the other one. So I'm gonna take some glue, put it on here, I'm gonna take my black inlay, pop that into place, and now I'm just going to wait for those to dry. Perfect. Now, while those are drying, we're going to move on to the next piece. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to assemble the arm. In order to do so, we're going to take two of the different arm halves, and we're going to stick them together. So there is a little peg sticking out over here, and under the arm there is a hole. So you want to line these up, and you want to stick these in together. Use a little bit of glue if you feel like they're going to come apart. And you're going to make sure that when they're lined up and stuck together, they kind of bend at this angle. Once these are put together, again, I recommend putting a dab of glue here, but once these are put together, we're going to put these to the side, and we're going to put the nails on these last. But the next thing that we can do is we can take the feet, and we can take a little bit of glue, and we can put a little bit of glue in the foot spot, take our feet, and now line these up. So if you look at the feet, we want to make sure that the smooth side, not the patterned side, is on the bottom. So smooth side on the bottom, pattern side up. So I'm going to push the feet into position here with the pattern side up. And I'm going to wait for these to dry. And once these dry, we'll then go ahead and move on to the next piece. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put these gray pieces in Pinsir's mouth. So I have them lined up in a size order over here, and I already did one half. So you don't really need glue for these to stay in, but if you want to make sure that they never come out, what I highly recommend is that you take some glue and put that glue on a plate or a flat surface, and then take all of the flat sides of these mouthpieces and do a little dab on the glue, and then drop it into position. So I'm not going to be using any glue here because these are just going to be sitting on my shelf. But once you have it lined up right, you're gonna look for the flat side and just push that flat side down and into position. So that should just slide right in. And now you're gonna do the same for the rest of the pieces. You would dab it in a dot of glue on the flat side, push it in, slide. Dab it in your glue, push it in, slide. And just make sure that these line up before you commit to pushing them in. All right, 2 more. So this one should go in here. And if they're not going in right, just make sure that you're pushing it in on the right side. So lay it down, make sure it's flat, push the flat side in, and there we go. And then push the last one in. All right, so those are the gray pieces on Pinsir's mouth. So let's move on to the next piece. All right, so next we're gonna take these little gray pieces over here and we're gonna put the toes on Pinsir's feet. So I'm actually gonna take some glue here and I'm gonna drop a little bit on this cardboard so that way I can use this to glue these in. So I'm gonna take one of the toes, I'm gonna dab it in just a tiny little bit of glue. Then I'm gonna go on his feet and I am gonna push these into the feet holes. So that is 1. And you're just gonna rinse and repeat and do this for all 6 toes. So just a little bit of glue, pop that in, a little bit of glue, pop that in. And once you have them in on one foot, you can either wait for them to dry and move on to the next foot or just keep moving in succession. So I'm just gonna pause here, wait for these to dry, then I'll move on to the next foot just so I don't knock these over. All right, so with all those toes in place, the next thing that we're gonna do, since we're not gonna be anywhere near the center anymore, is we can go ahead and we can take our white button. So if you already have the non-clicker core and the stem sticking out, just push that button onto the stem. But if you're using the clicker core, we're gonna take the stem here and push it onto the button. And now you'll see that this stem has 2 little pegs sticking on top. You're gonna push this button into the center and get those 2 little pegs to be in between the spaces in between the cross sections. So if you look at the green cross in the middle, there's open space all around the cross. We wanna get these pegs to be in that open space. So I'm just gonna line it up, drop it in, push the button into place. It might get stuck for a sec. And then there we go, we have our clicky button. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our center ring, and if you look at the center ring now, there are gonna be 2 little holes on the left and right side of the center ring. Those are going to push into the 2 little pieces. So there's one right here, and then there should be one right over here. There are 2 little bump outs on the center. And you're gonna push those little tabs into the holes on the back of the ring, and that's gonna lock everything nice and together. So I'm just gonna line that up. And then if it doesn't go in on the first try, just spin it around. So I'm just gonna move this until it drops in. There we go. Fell right into position. And now I have my center ring together. All right, so with that button now in place, you're gonna get your clicks. All right, I just wanna call out that this is what a fully assembled wing looks like. So we're gonna have on the front, the shorter orange pieces here. So you see how they don't go all the way through. And on the back of the wing, so the side, we have the longer orange pieces. So we want the longer orange pieces on the back of the wing, and we want the shorter orange piece on the front of the wing. So you're gonna mix a short and a long and a short and a long. All right, so now next we're gonna do our wings. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna take some of these, put these to the side. We're gonna work with one wing at a time. So you're gonna take your 2 orange pieces and make sure that they line up. Make sure you're grabbing the right halves. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip the orange piece over, and there's a little track in this middle piece here. It's gonna be hard to see on the screen, but look at your piece, there's a track over here. You're then gonna take the corresponding yellow piece, and we're gonna have it drop into the track. So I think I have the wrong yellow piece. I'm gonna swap these. We want the bottom side that was printed on the plate in the middle. So I can go ahead now, drop that into the track. And then once that's ready, I'm gonna take a little bit of glue, and I am gonna put this actually a little bit on the orange and a little bit on the corners here, because what we ultimately want to do is glue the two orange halves together. So I'm going to take this orange and I'm going to drop that on, push everything into position, and now just kind of hold that all in place until the glue is solid. So as this is drying, if you don't want to hold it, you want to put it down, just go ahead and do the other wing. So we're going to do one wing here together, and I'll do the other wing, and then we'll move on to the next piece. So as this is coming to an end on the drying process, we can then go ahead and take the other yellow portion here, and we can drop this right over. Now this yellow piece here, we want to make sure that that tab, so this little nub here is sticking up. So we want all of the nice finished surfaces on one side, and we want all of the bed surfaces on the other. So with this yellow piece here, you're going to want to use some glue. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here, and a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to take my yellow piece, slide it into the middle here, line that up. And nice. All right, cool. So now my wings are in position. So I am going to build the other wing, and then we'll go ahead and we'll actually put these wings on the body. All right, guys. So I'm going to flip this over this way, and we are going to look at the back here. I'm going to do a little bit of glue, and I'm going to drop in this gray star piece. So just line it up and drop it in. So I need it to go this way. All right, so that gray star piece, just wait for that to dry there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our wings, so these little pegs, and we're gonna stick those pegs into these holes. So I can take a wing here, push it in, and I'll take the other wing and push it in. Perfect. All right, so I now have my wings assembled on Mega Pinsir. So the ball is a little bit back heavy. It will sit, just knocked off one of the wings, but it will sit flat. What we're gonna do though is once we put our arms on, it's gonna help lean it a little bit more forward. Also my table is not level at all, but once you're on a nice level surface, this thing will sit nice and flat. All right, so with my cardboard back out, I'm gonna put a little bit more glue on there. And then you're gonna take all of these little tiny fingertips that are over here, and we're just gonna do a little bit of dab in the glue, little dot, line it up with the finger on the hand, drop it into position, and now I have a claw on my hand. So just rotate it in the position that you want. I like to have all the claws kind of like facing the center. So let me just drop that in a little bit better. And once it's facing the center, it will be in position. This part requires definitely a little bit of patience. Cool. All right, that's on there. We're now gonna go ahead and put on the rest of these. And when we're done, we're gonna assemble the arms. All right, so with those arms assembled with their fingers, we're gonna take our glue, put a little bit of glue in the arm slots, and we are going to pop these in. So they're not, here we go, make sure that they're in the right position. So they have to go on a specific side for the right angle. So just line them up first, make sure that the arms aren't facing too high up. You want them kind of nice and centered. So as you can see, I knocked one of these loose here. So just use a little bit of glue when sticking these in if you want. So we'll go ahead and push that back in. Nice, that's actually in there tight this time. Not sure I had it in all the way. But now we have our Mega Pinsir fully assembled. And with that, that completes the build. So he's sitting nice and flat now. He's a little bit more balanced out. So hope you guys enjoyed the build. Hope you guys liked the print. Be sure to leave any questions you have down below or in Discord or Patreon, and I'll be sure to help you guys out. Hey, and thanks for downloading and printing the model. It really means a lot. So happy printing.